So projection of plane surfaces. We'll go for a first problem. So first problem is a thin pentagonal plate of side 30 mm rests on one of its sides on HP. This side of the plate is inclined at 45 degree to VP. And the surface of the plate is inclined at 30 degree to HP. Draw its projections. So the problem definition is, so it is a pentagonal plane. It is also called as a plate. Okay. So side of this pentagon is 30 mm. Okay. So which is resting on HP with one of its edge. One of side is resting on HP. Okay. So this side, that is what on which side it is resting, that side makes an angle. This side makes an angle 45 degree to VP. Okay. So now the entire surface is makes an angle 30 degree to HP. So if you draw here, if you consider the vertical plane and horizontal plane, so it is resting on one of its side. This side makes an angle of 45 degree to this vertical plane, and the entire pentagon surface so makes an angle of 30 degree to horizontal plane. Okay. So now this is what a problem definition. So let us see its solution. First draw an XY line. So name XY, representation of planes, horizontal plane and vertical plane. Now your side has to become 45 degree inclination to vertical plane. So now let us draw first, it is a perpendicular to vertical plane. So I will draw an edge here. So now to draw the pentagon, so we need to calculate what is the outside angle of a polygon. So based on that one, you are going to get 72 degree as the outside angle. Now with the help of protractor, so let us mark this point as A. So now this point as a B. Now with the help of protractor, you calculate, so you just mark the angle 72 degree. So it's a 70, it is 80, between here you got a 72 degree. Okay. So similarly, taking point A as a reference, you just draw 72 degree, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 and 72. Okay. Now let us draw sides here. So what is the side? It is a 30 mm. Okay. Now to get the final point, so with the help of compass, so measure the distance of 30 mm side. So now keep this point as a center point, draw an arc over here. Similarly keep this as a center point, draw an arc over here. Okay. So now we first complete the pentagon. A, B, C, D and E. Okay. So now as I got the extra portion of this pentagon, just I am going to rub here this XY line. I am just going to rub the mark here. Okay. So let us mark X. So now project all these corner points to touch the XY line. So go for construction line. Construction line should be thin. So just place a little force or pressure over the pencil while drawing it. So let us mark points in front view. It is A dash, B dash, E dash, C dash. So here you got a D dash. So let us mark this line. That is what A dash, B dash line is, a thicker one. Okay. Now, as the surface is inclined to horizontal plane, we drawn it as parallel to horizontal plane. Okay. Now let us go for inclination of this plane with respect to horizontal plane. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just mark one point here. So now I'll name this as A dash B dash point. Okay. Now I'll measure the distance of this A dash D dash. Okay. I'll just draw one arc here. Okay. Now, as surface has to 30 degree inclination to horizontal plane, So from A dash B dash point, you measure an angle of 30 degree. Okay, get here. Now let us draw a line. Let us draw a line. Approximately we are going to get here. Okay, I made a mistake. Initially you need to draw the line, so then you go for cutting its length. Okay, so just change that step. Now this point is what? It is a D dash. Okay, this point is a D dash. Now let us measure the distance of AE dash. Now let us mark here point E dash and C dash. Okay. Now drop down the construction lines from point D and from point C. Now to get the construction lines, you just observe here an engraving here. Just observe an engraving. So make this engraving over the horizontal line. Then you just move the scale to the required point. From that point you just drop construction lines here. So here in the first step you gone for projecting towards XY line to get the front view. So now you drawn a rotated position of the front view, drop down construction line, so below XY line. Okay, below XY line. Now similarly project all the corners of the top view towards right side, towards right side. So somewhere I made a minor mistake, so due to that one I got a different in position of point C and E. Okay, so now this construction line refers to point C, this refers to B, this refers to D, this refers to A, and this refers to E. Now just observe D point construction line comes here, D point construction line comes here. So let us mark this point as a D here. Similarly, you are going to get a E point here. Let us mark E. Similarly, you are going to get a point here. Let us mark it as a. B point here. Let us mark it as a B, and C point here. Okay. Now let us join all these points with a straight line. Now this is what a radial position of the front view. So now to get the final front view, so we need to rotate this edge, AB edge, has to be 45 degree to XY line. So now I'll mark one point over here. So from this point I'm going to draw one 45 degree inclined line. Ten, 20, 30, 40, 45. Okay. So now I'll just draw one construction line over here. Okay. Now let us mark initial point. That point was at a B here. Let us mark this point as a B. Okay. Now measure the distance AB. Measure the distance AB. So 30 mm. So now B as a reference point. We just draw one point here. Now this point refers to the A point here. This point is what? A point. Now let us draw AB line. It is what a thicker line here. Now measure the parallel distance of these two construction lines. So it is around about 24 mm. Okay. So now keeping your scale in a perpendicular direction, so measure the distance of 24 mm. Let us mark one point over here. Again measure the distance 24 mm. Ten, 20, 24 mm here. Let us mark one point. So now join these 2 points with a very thin line. Okay. Now with the help of compass measure the distance BC. I'll measure the distance BC here. Okay. And keep B as a center point. I'll draw an arc here to get the point C. Similarly, I will measure the distance EA, and keeping as A as a center point, I will draw one more arc over here to get the point E. Now you got a 2 point. This point refers to C and this point refers to E. Okay. Now let us draw a thick line to get the edge AE. Again draw one more thick line to get the edge BC. Now to get the corner point D, I will measure the radial distance of this ED. Okay, I will keep E as a center point. I will draw an arc over here. Similarly, I will take a C as a center point. I will draw an arc over here. So I made a mistake. Okay. Now let us join. You got a point D here. You got a point D here. Now let us join. Thick line. Okay. So now from this view, again you draw some construction lines above XY line from all corner points. A very thin construction lines. You just draw very thin construction lines. Now this construction line refers to point A. You got a point A here. Let us mark this as a dash. Now this construction line refers to E. This construction refers to B. Let us mark here B dash. Okay. Now to get the other points in a front view, so from front view, by the rotated position of the plane, you just draw some construction lines again here. So draw these construction lines towards right side. Draw these construction lines towards right side. Okay. So now this refers to point D. I given an idea how to get the construction lines exactly perpendicular. So use a mark which is there on a scale, okay, to get it. Now this construction line refers to point D. Now this construction line refers to point D. So wherever getting an intersection, let us mark here. This point is about a D dash. Okay. Now this construction line refers to point C, and this construction line refers to point C. So wherever intersecting, you got a point C dash. Now similarly, this construction line refers to E. This horizontal construction line refers to E. You got a point here. Let us mark this as an E dash. Okay. So now join all the points with a straight line. So AB is connected already. So let us go for BC. Let us go for BC. Then CD. Then DE. Then EA. Okay. So now this is what a final front view of the Pentagon. So let us mark the sides. So we got a sides here. So side of this Pentagon is 30 mm. Okay. Angle here it is a 30 degree. So angle here it is a 45 degree. So now this completes the solution of a problem.